how I landed my first bookkeeping client for my bookkeeping business. So it took me about 3 months to land my first client, 3 months of marketing, that is. But it took me about that long to do it. I had gotten clients before that, but the thing is they were just one-off. They weren't reoccurring. So this is my first reoccurring client that I was getting paid from month to month, and I did cleanup work for them. So it was my first actual like really big paying client. The clients before that, I had pretty much done cleanup work, but next to free almost, just like $100. But it was a old wrestler of mine because I used to coach wrestling in college, and he has started a wrestling club, and so I pretty much just got him in line, got his books in line, said, hey, this is how you do it, because he really wasn't making a whole lot of money at the time. So I was like, you don't need to pay me a whole lot. I'll help you fix it up, and then I'll tell you what to do, and then it'll be pretty easy for you to keep it in line from here on out. So I did that for him, and from that, he told one of his buddies, one of my old wrestlers too, that that I was doing bookkeeping work, and they just so happened to be looking for a bookkeeper. And so really how I landed my first bookkeeping client is through word of mouth marketing, which is by far the best marketing you can possibly have. So that being said, the main reason I wanted to make this video is because, do some work at the beginning that's for next to nothing at the beginning. That's just because you're letting people know what you do. And if you can find someone who needs help right now, even if it's, like I said, next to nothing, help them out, and then show them that you know what you're doing. And then from that, they'll tell others, like, hey, he just started his business. He knows what he's doing. You should hit him up if you need some help with this. That has been the biggest lesson that I've learned from this is, put your services out there. Like, let people know what you do by actually doing it, even if it's, free, especially at the beginning. Like right now, like not right now anymore, but at the beginning, whenever you don't have work to do, like you might as well practice what you're preaching, so put yourself out there, let them know, like, hey, this is what I do, and if you need help, I can help you. And for people who isn't, if as long as it's not going to be a crazy big client, like if it's like, someone who has 10 properties, 20 properties, and they want cleanup, it's like, okay, guy, you got to pay a little bit, maybe cut them a heck of a deal, but still, get paid for that type of work. But like I said, this guy, he was just starting out his club, and there isn't a whole lot of expenses when it comes to something like that. It was pretty straightforward and simple to clean up his books and kind of send him on his way type of thing. But that's the best way to get a client, though, is to do work for someone next to free, and then they go and tell somebody. That's the best way to do it, because all this is right now at the beginning is just gaining trust. You have to gain trust for people who don't know who you are. They're trusting you with a lot of money. They're trusting you with a lot of hours that they've spent building this business. And for someone to trust you with that, it means a lot. So you have to kind of prove to them, and you got to prove to yourself even, that you can handle something like this, and you're not going to sink the ship. A lot of people that I've talked to since then have really complained about hiring a cheap bookkeeper, and then later on finding out that they're not even giving a crap about the categorization. They're just lumping everything into one spot, calling it one thing whenever it's a completely different thing, and then that's what really hurts them later on whenever it comes time for an audit or something. Whenever they get audited and they have a ton of meals that shouldn't be wrote off, but they're being wrote off, or vice versa, they should be wrote off and not being wrote off, and you're you're leaving money on the table in that aspect, or you're getting in trouble with the IRS if you do the opposite. So, you have to build trust in this business, and I cannot think of a better way to build that trust than to, at the beginning, give away some work for free, and then let your work speak for itself, and then through others, pretty much, and then you'll grow fast, if anything. But yeah, let me know if you need some more help with this. Comment down below, or I think my email is attached. You can also email me. Thanks for watching.